So ACCESS Employment started to deliver the Barista training program for refugee and newcomer youth in 2017. And at that point, it was when Starbucks made an announcement of their hiring promise to refugee youth. And they made a national commitment of hiring 1,000 refugees. And we knew we could help. The Starbucks training program for Barista and newcomer youth is delivered 8 times across GTA each year. And it is being delivered at a variety of our sites depending on the needs of Starbucks. So if they have higher recruitment needs in the Markham area or Richmond Hill, we'll deliver in our Markham office, and subsequently Brampton or Mississauga, Toronto, North York, or Scarborough. So we started to deliver this as really a recruitment event. So we would bring youth in and we would coach them and mentor them and prepare them, and then have a recruitment event. And it was all in one condensed day or half a day. And soon after that model developed, we realized that it was very successful. And we went to government and said, could you fund this? Because we could do a lot more. We could enhance the service and optimize the outcomes. So our program for barista training for newcomer and refugee youth is funded by IRCC. And that funding began in spring of 2018. We then, in 2018, in the spring, started to deliver it officially under the funded model. And with that, it grew to a 4-day program, which allowed us to add many features. Some of the features that I think make it very unique are that we condense it to 4-day model. So it's not a huge commitment for these youth. They can actually really commit and be there 4 full-time days. We have integrated Starbucks in every component, and therefore they come in on day 2 and they come in on day 3 and they bring people to their stores, and they do a lot of things that really help to build a unique culture for the youth participating. In the first day, they do an online assessment, which is called Align. We engaged with Magnet to develop the Align assessment. It is a soft skill assessment, psychographic tool. It's done online. It's about a 45-minute questionnaire that all the youth in the program complete. And it's really a great way to guide us to see if they're suited to the role of a barista, or if perhaps they should be working in another role in customer service. So after the Align assessment, we go into the programming, and it is customized employment skills, sometimes integrating the communication tactics required in the Starbucks environment. So we do some cultural communication training, and we also move into some employer events.
We provide workshops related to cross-cultural communication, excellence in customer service certification with OTEC, and also future mindset for problem solving, thinking out of the box, and critical thinking. And also we have a component of a language coach. The language coach will be working with the clients in person, via Skype, over the phone, or in one-on-one meetings. The most important key feature of the program is that they will have the hiring event that is right after the training, where we invite the managers, the Starbucks managers, to have the interview with the clients. The day starts with a process that we call speed mentoring, where the clients have the opportunity of meeting all the Starbucks manager in friendly atmosphere, where they communicate for 10 minutes or 15 minutes with each manager. So the one-on-one interviews start after lunchtime.
We offer onboarding coaching for the youth, so we don't want to just see them in the job and leave them there. We want to make sure that we're there to support them even post-employment. Sometimes people don't know what to expect in a workplace. They don't know what the first day or first week will be like. And if they can reach out to a coach, someone that they've already met, that they've trusted, that they know is on their side, and have a conversation, it can really turn things around for them. So I think that's a key component and really optimizes the outcomes. Our outcomes for this program are very high. We are at roughly 82% placed in roles. That is not 82% placed with Starbucks, but in roles that are relevant and customer service related for these youth. So when we built this program, we also knew other employers would want to hire from this pool. So since then, we've built a lot of employer relationships with people like IKEA and McDonald's and Air Canada, who have all considered now hiring from this talent pool. I think that the effectiveness of having the hiring event on the last day where people get on-the-spot offers is incredible. And that's a goal for the youth to look forward to. So in day one, we tell them you're going to meet the managers, you're going to have an opportunity to get a job offer, and that really inspires them to really focus on the next 3 days of training and get the most out of it.
One more important feature is that we also give Starbucks managers culture sensitivity training, where they get to know about the clients. So they would get to know about their background, their culture, and that would be kind of wonderful understanding both ways.
Starbucks raised their hand early on and said, we'd like some cultural sensitivity training for our managers. Working with refugees and onboarding them is new for us. And we developed a workshop for the managers. So the Starbucks managers that participate are those that are attending the final day of the 4-day event. In the beginning, when we didn't have the funding, we just did a very condensed, rudimentary workshop. Once we received funding, we hired a diversity and inclusion specialist, someone who works in cultural sensitivity, and now we have a full complement, a handbook really, that we give the managers. I think that helps a lot in the long-term success of retaining the clients that we're placing.
I think one of the novel features is the relationship we have between the employer and ACCES. The relationship means that we learn together, we gain insights in terms of what works, what doesn't, what makes it more efficient, and it's an ongoing, sustained process. It's grown from those original conversations with ACCES to a hiring program in Toronto that we've then expanded across Canada. And we're doing something similar now with service providers in Vancouver, Surrey, Edmonton, and Calgary, all basically based on what we learned and developed with ACCES in Toronto. There's a number of elements that we track, which, by the way, we're on track to meet our 5-year target. We've now 2 years in, have hired over half of our goal. So we're over 600 refugee hires nationally in Canada over those 2 years. For us to be successful at that scale, the hiring process that we work out with the service provider has to be efficient. One of the factors is when we hold a hiring event where ACCES selects and coaches a pool of candidates and pre-schedules them for interviews for Starbucks to do. And our Starbucks hiring managers come to ACCES at their office to hold the interviews. One of the factors is the ratio of job offers to interviews. So if we have 30 interviews and we only make 3 job offers out of those 30 interviews, that's not an efficient event. If we hire 25 of the 30 interviews, that's a fantastic ratio. And so we track those events and that ratio. And we're getting better success at these hiring events than any other recruiting approach that we have in the company. From an employer perspective, there's probably not a more significant KPI, key performance indicator, than retention. For a business case, for an employer to take on any kind of hiring, reducing turnover is the flip side of good retention. And there's a huge cost saving and cultural impact when you have long retention. And this program has been super successful. It's beyond our own original forecasting and projection in terms of retention. The retention numbers, based on a sample size of, as I mentioned, around 600 hires nationally, are approximately 20 to 30% better retention.
We collect data through a variety of means. So we definitely have focus groups with our clients, with our employers, with our stakeholders. We issue questionnaires and surveys quite often. We do formative and summative evaluations. So we use all of those tools. We do focus groups mid-program and at the end of the program with our participants, with our clients. And we have standard survey questions that we ask around their satisfaction levels, their recommendations for improvement, very pointed questions about what worked for you and what didn't work for you. Was the Align assessment easy to navigate? And then we will do focus groups at various times throughout the year with our employers. So what we're doing is digging and delving to get a feel for what works and what doesn't, and what can be, what can be improved upon. Through our conversations with all three of those parties, we found people who initially come across as being very suited to the barista role get overwhelmed in training. And so we pulled our heads together and determined that the best way to rectify that was to initially, and we're talking about refugees and people who are dealing and contending with other challenges, from language to often PTSD and a whole series of things. So we onboard people in smaller suburban offices as opposed to bringing, not offices, stores, instead of bringing them into the big busy Starbucks stores in downtown Toronto until they get comfortable and acclimatized. And that's just one example of many of how we use feedback to inform program enhancements. And we have a 90% client satisfaction rate across that program.
My name is Daniela Figuera. I'm from Venezuela, and I have a background in medical education, and I worked 3 years as a medical resident back home. I recently came to Canada 2 years ago. Here you came in like you don't know anybody, you don't know how to make the different types of resume, and then the work culture. The Canadian work culture has certain specific things that differentiate it from the rest of the world, and learning that is like really important. The program is really complete. Like it's not only customer service, they give us a mindset program as well, workshop, that help you to plan your future in a better way of how the world is evolving. We got the customer service certificate. I feel more confident right now. With the interview coach, I don't feel like much afraid that I'm gonna lose the point, or maybe my English is gonna go not that good. So that's a huge part on it. Then second of all, the skills of job searching, how to write up job-focused resume is really important. I got like an offer from Starbucks, and in future I would like to work with another programs of ACCES, more focused through my career after I finish my exams for the licensing. So I'm pretty satisfied with what I'm right now with my short-term goal and my line of working process. So yeah, pretty happy.
This program can be adapted to different client groups and different industries. In fact, we have IKEA interested. They've expressed formally their interest in doing something similar. In this case, they want to work with newcomers to Canada. In the adaptation process, you have to factor in the skills the technical skills that are required, the language level. So it's very important to do assessments and do those alignments, but the concept is the same. It's just adapted to meet the needs of the group. This program can definitely be replicated in northern, rural, and remote settings. I would caution that for it to be effectively replicated, there would have to be strong rapport between the service delivery organization and the industry partner, and a service delivery organization who's willing to pull up their sleeves and sit and listen very much to the needs of industry and make those needs their primary agenda, and then align their talent pool with, with the needs of industry, definitely it could work. Size is irrelevant. The other thing I would possibly caution against is language levels and skill levels. So you have to make sure that you're aligning your target group and their competencies and abilities with the needs of the industry partner.